UFC 298 is almost here, and today we're going to have the predictions for the main card, and we're starting with Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. And let me tell you something, I'm not a financial advisor.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
That's going to be a crazy card to bet, so please bet carefully, my brother. Don't lose your money. That being said, we have Hernandez and the Russian version of Chase Hooper, my brother. At first, I thought the Chase Hooper would beat Hernandez, brother, because let's be honest, Hernandez, I thought he's not that good. I remember when he beat Rodolfo Vieira, and I say, okay, Rodolfo Vieira got tired, and I remember he lost to Marcos Perez. But to make a video, I rewatch some of his fights and some of Kopylov fight, and a lot of people thinking Kopylov will win because on his last fight he showed very good kicks and very good striking. But let me tell you something, Hernandez is a guy that you try to take him out on the first round, you're going to get tired. He's not fast, he's not very athletic, his takedowns are not great, but he is great in surviving. He always finds a way to win. So I think his cardio, again, is not great, but still he can keep fighting, and he shoot for takedowns, and he brawl. He is consistent, okay? Hernandez doesn't look like a fighter, he just looks like a regular guy, and I think a lot of people are misleading by that because, again, he's not strong, he's not looking shape, and you can think maybe this guy will not have the gas tank, but guess what? He's just getting better when the round goes. So he has a good defensive jiu-jitsu. We saw that against Rodolfo Vieira. And if you watch his last fights, he shoot for takedowns, he keep grappling, and I don't think he will be striking against Kopylov. So that will make him dangerous in the fight, and he's favorite. But a lot of people, again, is taking Kopylov, especially on this channel, because you casuals. Jokes aside, I just think Kopylov never fought somebody like Hernandez, a guy that will change levels and strike and shoot, because if you watch Kopylov versus Duraev, Duraev was not shooting for takedowns all the time, but when he shoot for the takedown, when he got the takedown, you can see Kopylov doesn't have a solid ground game. He could not escape them out, he was giving the back, he took a lot of punishment. So I don't think Hernandez is a big puncher, he's a great striker, he's a great grappler, but overall, he's very well-rounded, and I think he's going to use strategy to beat Kopylov. So, I know you guys are very hyped up about Kopylov and he being the Russian Chase Hooper. But in my opinion, he will lose to Hernandez. Before we keep going, I want to thank you everybody that's showing some support and some love to the channel. And you see this hat, UFC hat, worn in a real fight. I will give away this on the channel. So if this video gets 50k views, when this video gets 50k views, I will send this hat to the most liked comment on the comment section. So make a comment, and whoever gets the most like going to get that hat, and I send you for free, you motherfucker. So stay tuned. Now, a great fight. A lot of people are sleeping on the fight. I think that's going to be a great fight. We have Triple C versus Merab Dvalishvili. Merab Dvalishvili. And I think that's going to be an amazing fight. I know a lot of you guys don't like to watch Merab, but let me tell you something. I just rewatched Peter Yan fight and Merab, and that was a great fight. Even though a lot of shoots, like a lot of takedown defense, a lot of the fight sometimes was a little bit, Merab was not getting the takedowns, but let me tell you something, he was active all the times, chasing the takedowns, putting a lot of pressure on Peter Yan. Peter Yan is a great boxer, but to be honest, for me, that's the best fight Merab so far. And I think he's going to do great against Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo is a strategist. He's very good on what he does. Olympic gold medalist, everybody know all the credentials, but again, he's getting a little bit older, and because his style is so physical, his style is wrestler, even though he has a little bit of karate, he's good at striking. I think in a fight like that, being young will be a huge advantage for Merab, because one thing is, if Cejudo, sometimes you remember like when he fought Marlon Moraes, he was using a lot of strike, and even against Sterling, he was using a lot of strike, but my point over here is, Merab will force the wrestling, and even though Cejudo is a great wrestler, this is not Olympic wrestling, this is not college wrestling, this is MMA, this is not Greco-Roman, and you can see Merab Dvalishvili, he mastered the wrestling skills in MMA, because he's very good at the clinch, he doesn't get tired, he always putting pressure and put boxing, so he's going to force Henry Cejudo in a 3 rounds fight, high pace, a lot of takedown attempts, a lot of cardio, and I think Merab being young, that will be advantage for him. So, very close fight, very well matched fight. The winner should be fighting for the belt, no matter what. Henry Cejudo, crazy credentials, Olympic medalist. Merab Dvalishvili, for me, is the #1 contender. He should have fought for the belt, but you guys know the situation. I don't like the situation against Sterling, because in the end of the day, this is business. He's your friend. That, my brother. Get the money, get the belt. So, Merab Dvalishvili, if you beat Cejudo, fight whoever wins on Tito Vera and Sean O'Malley. I think you're not gonna be opposed to that. Henry Cejudo is the same. I think that's the fight to make. Probably Sean O'Malley will beat Vera. Let's see. But the fight makes sense. Like, this is a title eliminator. And I have Merab Dvalishvili by decision. Now we have Geoff Neal versus Ian Garry, and a lot of people are asking me about the fight. A lot of people want to see Ian Garry lose. A lot of people asking me if I am Ian Garry hater, and I'm not, brother. I don't have nothing against the kid, and my opinion on that fight is not based on fighting skills. Because Geoff Neal, very heavy-handed, he can knock Ian Garry out. I was just watching Ian Garry against Song, he got caught in a hook. So 13-0, 13-0 for Ian Garry. Good striker. I don't think Geoff Neal will try to take him down. I think that's going to be a striking battle. But my point and my take on this fight is completely different than everybody, because I don't think the skills matter on the fight. I think Ian Garry cannot afford to lose. You know, I was talking to Iago, the editor. It's just unbelievable how much hype Ian Garry was getting on his last fight when he's pulled out. And like next week, Ian Garry is fighting, and I didn't realize that. I just realized that today making the video. So Ian Garry is fighting Geoff Neal, and there's nobody talking about that. He's not going to media. He's not promoting the fight. And that's crazy, because if you remember, he made a t-shirt of Geoff Neal mug, my brother. You know, the level of disrespect of that is just unimagined, my brother. And that being said, what I want to say to you is, Ian Garry is not losing because he cannot afford to lose. He's focused on the fight because he knows if he loses, this is not only his career going down, is his family, is his life, is his mental state, because I'm pretty sure he was not sane, my brother, because everybody was talking shit about him, about everything that you guys know. Everybody talked about that, and simply, I think he cannot afford to lose, and he will not lose, because if he loses, this is not gonna end well. That's one thing, when you start to promote yourself, sometimes there's a fine line between personal life and professional life, and maybe Ian Garry stepped over a little bit, and now it's a kind of confusing. What is his real life? What is his personal life? And again, I wouldn't be happy if I was in his situation, because I think things got tangled up. I feel if he loses, this is gonna affect him too much on the personal side. So I truly believe that he would die to get this W against Geoff Neal. And Geoff Neal is a guy that lost before. Of course, he lost to Rakhmonov, a beast. But that's my take, my brother. I don't know. I think it's a well-matched fight. But I think Ian Garry cannot lose just because of the circumstances. We're not seeing him on media. We're not seeing him in social media. Nobody's talking about him. The only thing that I saw on the last 3 weeks about Ian Garry was him training with Charles Oliveira on shoot box, and that's great. You know, Charles is always a guy that's very humble and he's very focused on his training. So maybe Ian Garry is trying to get his perspective on things like let's focus on training, forget the bullshit, forget the media, and let's focus. And I think he'll beat Geoff Neal just based on that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that's a fair assessment, my brother? Do you guys think that's a good take? Let me know on the comments, and remember, whoever gets the most like on the comments gonna get this fucking hat UFC original, my brother. You know how much money is a cost a hat like that? That's a lot, my brother, okay? So, Ian Garry, I don't know the method of the victory, but I have Ian Garry. And then we have Robert Whittaker, most known as Robert Whittaker.
Good morning.
What do you mean? Do you mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
And Paulo Borrachinha, Paulo Costa. I don't know. I don't like that fight too much. I will talk about Paulo Costa first because everybody was very high on him on Brazil. Everybody thought that he would be a champion, and he still can be a champion. But especially for this fight, I was looking for some stats. The last time that he fought was 2022 and against Luke Rockhold, my brother. And let me tell you something. The last time Luke Rockhold won a fight was in 2017. He lost to Romero. He lost to Blachowicz. So what I want to say with that is Luke Rockhold was not in his best days when Paulo Borrachinha beat him. And that was 2022, long time ago. And before that, he lost to Vettori, you know, and he lost to Vettori on 205. That was not even 105. Because Paulo Borrachinha could not make the weight, and they make 205, and he got tired. He was too big for the division. But against Rockhold, I was watching the fight, and he seemed to me a little bit tired. And that's never good, especially against Robert Whittaker. And even though Paulo Borrachinha got the takedowns against Luke Rockhold, that's going to be even harder against Robert Whittaker. The only point that I want to finish here about Paulo Borrachinha is his last fight was not against a guy that is doing great. Actually, the guy is retired, and after that, he was not in his best days. Before that, he didn't make the weight, so his career is kind of in a strange situation right now. Since 2021, he pulled out 5 fights. So that doesn't give him a lot of credit, and I think he's still very relevant on the UFC space because he's a funny guy. He runs a good Twitter account, and I think people usually related to him. He's a likable guy, but as far as fights, he's not fighting too often, and he's pulling out a lot of fights. So I think his career is going to be decided right now. And you have Robert Whittaker. He lost to Dricus du Plessis, and again, I have to say I'm sorry to Dricus du Plessis because I thought that guy never will be champion, but he kept proving me wrong again and again. Every UFC fight Dricus du Plessis was on, I thought he would lose. And guess what? He just destroyed Robert Whittaker. Takedowns, he dropped him with a jab. Dricus du Plessis is the real deal. I cannot discuss that. Hard to bet against because he always keep a way to win, and he did against Robert Whittaker. But on this fight against Borrachinha, I think Robert Whittaker is not going to be easy to take down. He will have more cardio. Even though he's going to be smaller than Paulo Borrachinha, I think his cardio will be better. The distance, the karate distance is going to be better. So I have Robert Whittaker winning against Paulo Costa, even though it would be nice to see Paulo Borrachinha getting a W, my brothers. But let's see what happens. We have the main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. If you guys want to know what I think about the promotion and the fight, look on the card. I have a video that I made about Volkanovski and Topuria. So I'm not gonna talk a lot about what I did on the other video, about the promotion, about the way I think Topuria is kind of a little bit disrespecting Volkanovski. I will talk about the fight. okay, right now. So Alexander Volkanovski, a truly martial artist. He's good everywhere. So is Topuria. Topuria is good everywhere. We saw that against Ryan Hall. We saw that against Josh Emmett. But for me, the level of competition that Volkanovski faced on the 145 is just bigger. There is a gap. And it's crazy to me that Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria are even, on Vegas. They are even. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And even me, I don't know. Of course, Topuria could knock Volkanovski out. But I think the experience and the 5 rounds, how many times Topuria fought 5 rounds? I think only against Josh Emmett, right? And let's be honest, Emmett is not the biggest threat because Emmett has power, knockout artist, but at the same time, he doesn't shoot for takedowns, not very good kicks. So there was Topuria distance all the time. So if you are trying to box against Topuria, that's not gonna be good for you. And I think Volkanovski know that. Topuria got power. He could finish Volkanovski for sure. But I think the experience, the time spent on the cage, the fight caliber that he faced like Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is not an easy guy to stop. And Alexander Volkanovski did on Brazil, like working on the cage. So I think he will use a lot of grappling, a lot of clinching, trying to get Topuria tired. And Topuria will be rushing to get the knockout, in my opinion. And if he doesn't get the knockout on the first 2 rounds, the fight's going to the 3rd, the 4th, and then Volkanovski will excel. So that's a crazy fight. We could not ask for a better. This is better than UFC 300 for me. We have Volkanovski, Topuria, Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, Ian Garry, Geoff Neal, Dvalishvili and Cejudo. Hernandez and Kopylov is okay. That's not best than UFC 300, but most of these fights, I think they are better than UFC 300. Let's see. Man, I'm expecting fireworks on UFC 298. Topuria being a new champion, like he's going to be a star if he beat Volkanovski. And he has the potential to be a star. And he has the potential to stop the division, too, because he will try to get fights on the lightweight, to get big fights, to do like a catchweight against O'Malley, to fight McGregor. So I don't think that's good for the division. The division have been stopped because Volkanovski tried to fight Islam 2 times. So that fight obviously will be a huge deal in UFC. Robert Whittaker and Paulo Borrachinha, I don't know if whoever wins fight for the belt. I don't think so. Young Garry is not a fight for belt, it's a fight for himself. I think he's fighting for himself. And most important, to try to hit back, because he's mad at the fan base. So I wonder what he will say if he beats Geoff Neal on the mic. I look forward to that. Merab and Cejudo, a fight that will show us who is going to be the next title challenger. And Anthony Hernandez and Kopylov is just a fight. But other than that, title fights in UFC 298 and title eliminator. So it's a very important day for UFC this year. And if you guys don't know, Moicano wants money. Peace out. Click the like button, subscribe. The channel numbers is going to the roof. Thank you to you guys, the generators that are helping us to generate income. Okay? Thank you so much. Money Moicano is all about that money. Us.